Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. Terribly sorry about the hiatus of not doing videos for a week or two. Started working at a new job, and it's time consuming and tiring, so I just haven't had a lot of time to pump out some videos for you. But in today's video, I was going to talk about mostly things I did in my youth and other things that if you have children or if you still are a child, different programs you can get into that will benefit you when it comes to prepping. So, the first one for me, and I think it's probably the biggest, is getting into the Boy Scouts. I definitely enjoyed it. Like, it is fun. But I also did a lot of camping in hot and cold weather. Um, we did knot tying, first aid. It got you outdoors and moving with other merit badges like cycling and swimming and stuff like that. And generally, I'd say it's a all around, perfect dip in the water if you want to advance further and do um, prepping into your adulthood. It's also useful because, um, a lot of the friends that I still have, the connections that I still have, are with like minded people. They went through the same thing that I went through. They have the same skills that you do to varying degrees of proficiency, but everything you do in there at least gets your foot in the door and establishes a certain level of, a jack of all trades. And then, of course, if you get your eagle, it does benefit you in your adult life when it comes to getting different types of jobs and stuff. Um, but I would say the Boy Scouts is going to be the number one thing. And if you haven't, thought about doing these different youth programs, um, then hit the subscribe button because I come up with quirky videos like this all the time. The next thing I'm going to have, which a lot of students do it, and that's going to be, sports of any type. The U.S. has a really big issue with dealing with obesity. Um, we're getting closer and closer to 50% of the United States being obese. Um, Being outdoors, staying fit and healthy is starting to become a fringe group. I saw someone quote something the other day. It's an issue when eating the right foods and eating healthy is considered a diet and not, a good lifestyle. But it also has everything to do with, um, you know, the massive availability of cheap crap food. Um, so eating at home would help with that. But the sports in general will most likely keep you active for over 30 minutes a day. Um, Outside of, individual sports, the big thing that I'm, here for is building physical strength, um, burning calories, keeping your weight within check. Uh, Even, linemen in football that are in the 6 foot and, the high 200s, if not the 300-pound limits. Um, I would not consider them, you know, fat or obese in any way because they're actively training and developing their body at that body limit. And then, you're running in all these other different sports, and the cardiovascular exercise that you're getting out of that is amazing. Most people, if they don't do sports outside of high school, or they don't get in that rhythm of, running and exercising, that's normally when they gain the weight that as a youth they, you know, kept it under control, exercising all the time. So, exercising and doing sports in high school should develop the habit of continuing to do that and continuing to keep yourself in shape. And it's something that a lot of preppers, they do the different skills, they put away the food, the water, the resources, but they don't manage their bodies very well. Um, Next thing I did, which I don't know how much bigger schools do these things anymore, but we had shop classes. I took welding. I could have taken the carpentry and the plumbing, but didn't want to do those two. And as a freshman, before you could even get into that class, you had to join FFA. So you had to learn how to take care of different livestock. You had to learn basically what it meant to be on a small scale farm. Um, our school had a greenhouse that we had to do upkeep on. Um, the school, after they taught you how to do stuff, they basically kind of became a clinic in some ways. So people could bring their rabbits up for us to take care of, chickens and different stuff like that. And it's something that outside of learning it on yourself, or you're an adult and you decide that, I want livestock, then, you're basically jumping into the deep end, and, the water's cold. But doing those things in high school, you get, even if it's a basic understanding of it, I would say that's better than you having to do the research on your own online, and then having to deal with, the issues. You have a teacher that, has seen the different things, different ways to do it, and, they pass that knowledge on to you. And then mentioning the other parts of the shop class, welding, carpentry, plumbing, all blue collar jobs that are very hands on, and it doesn't really matter how much our world changes. Those are types of jobs that probably, in some form or way, will not get, um, machined away, or, roboted away. So we got that going for you. Um, Having a physical skill outside of, our modern times, we've got, social media manager, financial analyst, accountant, stuff like that. A lot of those jobs are important for, today's day and age, but in most prepping situations, they're going to be pretty useless. Uh, when a hurricane comes through, people aren't worried about, um, how many follows or clicks they're getting on something. They're worried about stopping the water, keeping themselves and as much as their stuff dry, making sure they're fed, that sort of thing. And, these modern jobs aren't going to help. Next, I guess I could mention 4-H. It's very similar to the FFA. They do a lot of livestock stuff. I helped friends with it, but I really didn't, dwell into that world. But like I said, it's very similar to um, the FFA. So that's another thing that you could get involved in. And then the last thing on my list, which I think these are a lot better in the bigger cities, whereas a lot of the Boy Scouts, I would say, is all around, big, small, medium cities. They're there. Um, the 4-H, FFA, shop class type stuff, I think, is in medium to smaller cities more often. And then this last one will be in your medium to big cities. And that is some sort of after school education program. And I'm not talking about, little Johnny's failing math and he's got to go to tutorials. I'm talking about, uh, an extracurricular is going to learn more than what you are in school. And it's not for everyone. A lot of kids, already complain about being in school for 8 hours a day. They don't want to go spend an extra hour or two, um, learning calculus when they're only on algebra 2 in high school. Um, it's very similar to, advanced placement. Uh, and then this can also lean more on the technology side of things. Uh, I've known people that have done, robotics programs doing this. I've known people that have done stuff with drones. Some people have done stuff with coding and different stuff like that. And these are, you know, well off, high paying jobs. And so on the prepping side of things, it's not really preparing you in that sort of way. But the way I would say it's preparing you is you are learning extra skills that translate into a higher paying job. If you have more money, you can spend more stuff on prepping supplies. um, Most people that have more funds to deal with um, tend to not be as stressed. Um, they can take that hour a day to go exercise without thinking they have to spend that hour a day working. Um, you can also eat a little bit healthier because you have more funds coming in. Um, and so after school programs, they're going to make you smarter. We're slowly moving to a world where a lot of um, jobs could be decided on the extra schooling that you go through. I mean, I even mentioned the plumbing. You go to school for 5 years for that if you go through it with a union. So the extra schooling is important, and all of these different youth programs or activities, whatever you want to call them, that I mentioned, are great stepping stones. They're great starters to keep you moving in that direction, and they can each benefit you in some way when it comes to prepping. So that's all I got for you. If you benefited from the information, then subscribe and like the video. If you have a friend or family member that hasn't thought about this, maybe they got kids and they've been prepping and they want to, you know, get them more involved, then try to mention some of these things or mention the video. And I'll catch you in the next one.